welcome to this demo on how to get started on my final board. So with your supplies, you should find in your bag a small little board that looks like this, a much larger board, and this is your project board. And then you also received a white gel pen and a black Sharpie pen as well. So these are your basic materials or tools that you will be using. You are also welcome to pull in any other drawing material that you may have on hand. So if you have markers, you can pull those in. You can pull in other Sharpies that you might have. I know a student last year used highlighter in her work. So feel free to utilize the tools that you have around you as well. So I just pulled a few extras for me to play around with. So you're probably wondering, what is this small board and what is it used for? So this small board is for your media study. Your media study is where you are going to practice whatever you want to draw on the surface. So you're going to notice that this blue marker shows up okay. It's not the greatest. All right. And that's one of the reasons why you have the white that you can add in will really help make things pop. So on this board, you can practice your design if you like. You can practice making all kinds of different sorts of lines and textures. You can practice with your different media. So like, let's say you're like, I wonder how this colored pencil would look on my board. Well, that's what this board is for. You can scribble on it. You can do whatever you like with it to help you feel comfortable and confident before you start on your final board. Okay, so this is not to be turned in. It's really just for you as a resource, because I know a lot of times if I have a final paper and this one's a colored paper, I'm going to want to know, what do different colors look like on this board? So this marker, for instance, is actually a light blue. So it's a pretty bright blue if it was on a white surface, as you can see here. But on this darker surface, you'll notice it's that much darker. So you can really play around with that. You'll notice that I tend to like to make things really curvy and swirly. That's just naturally kind of how I draw. If you're someone who wants to do more rigid shapes, I would highly recommend that you grab a ruler of some kind or a straight edge. So let's say you don't have a ruler and you're like, well, what can I use? You can use anything that has a straight edge, and you can use that to add in, straight lines or more geometric style shapes. So if you want to draw triangles or rectangles or break up your design in a more interesting way, you can definitely utilize a straight edge to do that. All right, so I'm just kind of playing around and doodling on this board. Another thing that you'll want to explore with this project is explore different line variety or different line weights. So you're probably like, what, line has weight? So thicker and thin lines, that's really what I'm talking about when it comes to line weight or line variety. So you'll notice that these thicker lines really stand out compared to these thin, sort of wispy white lines. All right, so there is a good sort of sampling of some different line quality. I have sampled with a few different pens, and then I have that marker that I was trying out. All right, So when it comes to getting started on your larger or final board, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to work the board. So when I talk about working your piece or work the whole board, you'll notice in this example that I started last year that I'm kind of skipping around. I'm working everywhere, all over the place, and starting to fill in detail in some areas, but not everywhere. And what this is going to allow you to do is that honestly, like if I was to stop the design right now, it looks like, if I just kind of finished up some areas in here, I could probably call this done and it still looks nice. Okay. But if I decide to work from like maybe this section and work my way down, this whole area is going to be left blank and this whole area is going to be left like really in process. So here is a really good example of what I'm talking about. So this piece, you can really tell that this was a student media study from last year where she was really spending a lot of her time here and gradually working her way down. You'll notice that it feels like the piece itself feels unfinished. It doesn't look like it is close to being done. Okay, and that is one of the things that will help you, especially if you're struggling with time. So work large to small and work the whole board at the same time. So let's take a look real quick at the media study versus the final. So you'll notice with these two examples that this was, again, the media study and this is the final. The biggest difference between the two is that this circle was left blank and she decided not to fill in these circles black. Now, when we were looking at her design over here as a whole, if she added this in, this would feel very busy. And so she wanted to create an area for the eyes to sort of rest or relax. So it wasn't so busy that we're kind of caught up in it. And by leaving this big area blank, she's also creating a strong focal point because it's in contrast to the rest of what's happening around it, because there's a lot of little details that are happening here and also details that are happening here in the swirl. So I strongly encourage you, in addition to working the whole piece, is don't be afraid to leave areas blank or use the board as sort of a nice background or tone or color in your piece as well. So you don't have to fill everything out with color or you can also keep it black and white if you like and just use the gel pen and Sharpie pen that I gave you. If you only use these two, it's going to be super time consuming. So I would strongly suggest that you do find something thicker, whether it's a Sharpie pen or if you have a marker lying around somewhere at home or even a highlighter, just something to help you fill in larger areas. Because I know that definitely helped me with starting off my design. So when I started this, what I did was I started laying in the aqua tone marker, and you'll see that I just started laying in lines. So I filled up the whole page with lines throughout. All right, this concludes our session on exploring composition. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer your questions or give you feedback on your work. Until next time, bye.